May is the month for National Travel and Tourism Week. Of course, we have all seen that COVID-19 significantly hurt the hospitality industry. So is there still something to celebrate this year? Let's get an update from Irving Convention and Visitors Bureau Executive Director Maura Gast. Thanks so much for being here, Maura.
Glad to be here, Thomas. Thank you.
There is so much to cover here. Let's start with the good news. I see you have some events returning to the Irving Convention Center and local hotels. How's it looking?
You know, it is starting to look a lot better. It has been a really rough 14 months, but events are starting to come back a little bit at a time. And with every group that comes back, I think collectively every event organizer is first relieved that everything goes well. And then second, really grateful to see people together again and see that it can be done and it can be done safely.
Even so, COVID is still out there. So what safety measures are in place?
You know, there's a wide range of safety measures that everybody's putting in place. Each hotel has its own set of standards. For us at the Convention Center, we have been blessed through some CARES Act funding to be able to purchase a lot of things, including these Clorox 360 sanitizing machines, UV lights that go on the escalator, handrails, a lot of plexiglass. So there's plexiglass now at the concession stands, on all of our portable bars, in our offices, just about everywhere where there's ordinarily going to have been more of a face-to-face encounter between a customer and one of our service people. Buffets, so food buffet stations are being set up differently. And then a lot of groups are just making sure there's a lot of time between, like if you had a typical conference setting where there was session after session and break time, those break times are being extended to allow for more cleaning in between.
And let's get the broad overview on a couple of areas in your industry. First, hotels. We know they are important to generate both jobs and hotel occupancy taxes. How are they doing right now?
So again, with the hotels, they're starting to come back. You know, a year ago when things bottomed out, we were sitting in the mid-20s from an occupancy standpoint. Typically, we'd be in the mid-70s, particularly during the middle of the week. We're starting to get a little bit of business back, so we're hovering now around the 50s, mid-50s. Some of that's been oddly influenced. So we've had a series of things that have happened over the last 6 months between unfortunate influence of hurricane evacuees last September and October. We had the benefit of Major League Baseball establishing its World Series bubble here. Then we had, you know, another unfortunate attendance thing with the winter storms, and now we have a lot of insurance adjusters in town helping people post-storm. So we've got a lot of mix in the business that isn't ordinarily there, but beyond that, we're definitely seeing levels return.
But before that, when you saw those dips, what is the impact of those lower hotel occupancy taxes coming into the city?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's an impact for everybody. So the hotel occupancy taxes fund our operations at the Convention Visitors Bureau. They fund the Convention Center's operations. They fund the Irving Arts Center, all the museums, including the new Irving Archives and Museums. So we've all really been having to scramble. I know in our case, we basically have cashed in our reserves in order to keep operating. And obviously it's important to keep operating to get what revenues we can continuing to come in town, but to make sure that we've built the pipeline for the future.
Also, let's talk restaurants. How are they doing?
Restaurants have had a really, really rough time, and thankfully a lot of people in this community have stepped up and done a lot of takeout or home delivery. But you know, our restaurants were first shut down and limited, and so a lot of them just had to reinvent how they did things like takeout and delivery. And a lot of them have been able to do that and have built up a really good business for that. I think over the course of the next year and a half, you're going to see a lot of restaurants trying to decide, you know, how much of their core business is going to return and how much strength can they get or maintain or sustain, actually, really, through the takeout and the delivery. The state legislature has been very helpful on that front, allowing them to also add, in addition to takeout meals, take out alcoholic beverages, and that wasn't allowed before. The legislature is now going to make alcoholic beverages to go permanent. So the important thing for our restaurants is the markup in those kinds of sales. There's a lot less labor involved and a lot more markup involved. So that's an important profit center, and that helps our restaurants a lot right now. It's also killing them that nobody's back in the office buildings yet, and that's part of the challenge too. So not only our hotel guests at a minimum, but we also have those office tenants, which really provided a lot of the weekday lunch traffic as well as our midweek nighttime traffic.
Recognizing those challenges, it is time to get out your crystal ball. How long do you think it'll take to get things back to where they were pre-pandemic?
You know, Thomas, that's a great question, and I really wish I had a solid answer. But I think from an occupancy standpoint, it's going to take us into next year before we see that. And by all estimates, it's probably 2023 before rate returns fully. The good news is rate hasn't dropped in our hotels because of a rate war, and that's really, really important. This wasn't a price war that started and led to everybody dropping their rates. You know, part of the reason our rates are where they are right now is just that there's a core traveler who's probably always been paying that same rate, but for an extended period of time now, they were the only traveler for the most part in our hotels. What we have seen that's helpful and has been helping us through that, again, through the benefit of some CARES Act dollars, we were able to launch a series of online digital campaigns to drive weekend travel, to drive staycations, to drive safe meetings, and we've seen really, really good results. Our weekend occupancies right now are hitting that 70% mark, which is almost unheard of for Irving, and it's largely leisure travelers who haven't had the benefit of concerts or any of those other activities to drive that travel. They're coming, you know, to see a different four walls, and we're grateful for that.
So some positive notes to end on. And as we wrap up, along with marking National Travel and Tourism Week, I know you are celebrating 30 years with the Irving Convention and Visitors Bureau. My sincere congratulations on that. It's always a pleasure to work with you. And thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Thomas. It's always a joy to work with you guys, and I appreciate it.
And it's been a while since we have done one of these calendars, but seems like a good time to get back to this. Here is a look at what is coming up at the Irving Convention Center. May 7th through 9th is the USA Women's Wrestling Nationals. May 12th is the Graphics Pro Expo. And May 23rd is an event where you can buy and sell sneakers. It's called the Sneaker Exit. Find a listing to all public events at irvingconventioncenter.com.